Where have I been? Where have you been? Hi everyone. Welcome to the Reluctant Sisters podcast. I don't even know the name of this podcast. Welcome to the Reluctant Sisters podcast. My name is Adrian. I am the Reluctant Knitter. And this is a random knitting podcast. Apparently doesn't have any kind of schedule as to when I podcast, but anyway, about knitting. And sometimes other crafty things, but I don't really do anything else crafty. I just knit. Anyway, like I said, my name is Adrian. I am coming to you from the southern shoreline of Connecticut, where I live with my husband and our Great Dane, Elizabeth Bennett. It is Thursday, April 25th. I don't usually say the date because sometimes it takes me like some days to get this uploaded. Oh, my doggy, she got a little toy. And she's going to lay down on her bed in here, which she never lays down on. I spoke too soon. She's not laying down. But anyway, so yeah, it's spring. Spring has sprung. It's been crazy, crazy rainy recently. So all of a sudden the trees are starting to get a little bit green. And the weather has been really lovely the last couple of days. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. But anyway, you can't win them all, I guess. Okay, so where you can find me on Instagram as The Reluctant Knitter. I'm also on Ravelry as Reluctant Knitter with no E in the knitter. I'm not really that active on Ravelry. And also we have a podcast group, which is the Reluctant Sisters podcast group. We have some KALs going on right now. So I'm just going to get right into podcast news. We have a sock KAL that just finished, actually. It was supposed to run until the end of March, but I wasn't podcasting and I wasn't really paying that much attention, and I didn't want to close the thread if I wasn't like prepared to like announce a winner. So some people were able to get in during this month, which is really great. We had some nice participation in it. It was basically knit an adult pair of socks, however many you want to knit. If you knit a striped pair of socks, you get 2 entries. And so I literally just closed the thread and picked a winner. So the winner will win this lovely prize package. I was hoping to get a project bag, but I guess that didn't work out. But it will be 2 skeins of this Knit Picks Felici. So there are 2 of them, but the swab band is broken. But anyway, it is in the gelato colorway. So they are 50-gram balls. So you will be able to get a pair of socks out of both of these, and you'll be able to get matching stripes if you want, because they're already in 2 balls. This is the fingering weight. If you've ever knit with it, I love Felici. It's really affordable. I love stripy socks. Sometimes they're like they'll have 2 stripes that are really, really similar in color right next to each other, which I don't love, but this was a donated prize too, so thank you so much. So you'll get that. You will also get a little Notions pouch. Oh, good, I put that thing in there. Okay, so a Notions pouch that was knit by my sister Sarah, who is Sarah JG2 on Ravelry, Sarah Gautreau on Instagram. Did I say she knit it? She made it. When I do these things, I don't listen to myself talk. But anyway, and also you will get a little stitch marker. It is an enamel sheep stitch marker that will be in the thing. So the winner is dun, 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 LME Cole. So it was post number 30, I think, in the thread. That is Linda. She is from Pennsylvania. She is usually very active in our knit-alongs, which is really great. So congratulations, Linda. She knit the Precious Metal Socks by Louise Tilbrook. Yes, Tilbrook. And I just took a quick peek at her Ravelry page, and she's putting my Ravelry page to shame. She has like all of these goals, like she had like 2015 goals, 2016 goals, and then not only does she have these goals, but then she puts like done or not done next to them. Lizzie! So you go, girl. Okay, so contact me. Let me know where you live, what your address is, so that I can send this prize out to you. I'm so excited. Okay, so then we have another we have another KAL going on right now. So this is the Fiberfest sweater KAL, And it is running with, sorry, my dog's tail just hit the, good girl, Lizzie. Good girl. Good girl. So this is running with the, Cat Lady podcast. So this is Andrea from the Cat Lady, is also running a Fiberfest sweater KAL. Okay, so this is an adult sweater KAL. The limit is 2 sweaters per person. So if you knit like 15 sweaters, sorry, but 2 sweaters. And this is going now from, I think it was February 1st or January 1st or whatever, till the end of the year-ish, so November. The reason why we're calling it a Fiberfest sweater KAL is because we both attend fiber festivals. And if you post a picture of yourself wearing your sweater at a fiber festival, you can post an additional picture in the thread. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so you don't have to be going to a fiber fest. Limit of 2 adult sweater entries, and you get an additional entry if you post a picture of yourself wearing your sweater at a fiber fest. It doesn't matter which fiber fest. This is going through November, end of November, because I think the last fiber festival is the New England Fiber Festival in November. If anybody knows of a fiber festival after that, before the end of the year, please let me know. I will extend. I'll extend the deadline. And you don't have to enter in both threads, but you can if you would like to. So the prize will be, I do not have prizes right now, but the prize will be a skein of yarn from Rhinebeck, because I will be going to Rhinebeck. If I cannot attend Rhinebeck this year for some reason, I will purchase a skein of yarn. Sometimes you can get like Rhinebeck colorways. I'm sorry, her tail again. Sometimes you can get Rhinebeck colorways online. So don't worry, you'll be getting a skein of yarn. Also, if you are a maker or a dyer and you would like to donate any prizes to the podcast for KALs, please get in touch with me. That would be really wonderful. Okay. Okay, Zay. Let me move on to my dog. Let me move on to what I'm wearing. I'm wearing one of my finished objects. This is the So Faded sweater by Caitlin Hunter. No, by Andrea Mowry. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Sorry. By Andrea Mowry. This is the first pattern that I've knit of hers, I think. I did knit it a little big. It was designed for like -2 to +2 inches ease. I think I knit it on the, I'll link everything, by the way. Show notes are down below. I will link my project page down below because I can't remember what, it was so long ago and I haven't podcasted in forever. So I'll link it because I don't remember what needle sizes I used. I don't remember. It is all knit out of cat sandwich fibers, and all of the yarns are in there as well. So anyway, this is my So Faded. I really love it. Anyway, there it is. I love it. Okay, so moving on to finished objects. That is one of my finished objects since I last saw you. I do have another one. It isn't, I mean, it isn't technically finished, I guess, but I'm not going to show it to you again. And I actually completely forgot I even knit it. So this is a hat that my sister Amy designed. She is Flower Babies 3 everywhere. So this is a hat that she designed, that she wanted me to test knit for her, so I did. It has some cables in it. It was really easy to follow, fun to knit. And then I also knit a pom-pom, I made a pom-pom for it. So this was just made out of a worsted weight that I had left over from another project, a hat project for my husband. So anyway, that's the pom-pom when it'll be on. But yeah, so that's that. I think I tore it out and did it a little bit longer so it was slouchier. I don't even remember what I did, and I didn't make a project page for it because I'm really horrible. I'm a really horrible person at this. Okay, so I made the pom-pom out of this pom-pom maker clover pom-pom maker that I got from Joann Fabrics. It was really easy to do. I love pom-poms, but I don't really love making them. So anyway, I knit this out of Knit Picks. You probably want to know what it's made out of. Wool of the Andes and Merino is the blue or teal color And then the white was just white in the same base. It is a 100% Peruvian Highland wool. So it came in balls of 50 grams and it was 110 yards. And then I knit these on, did I take the needles out already? I didn't. Chow 16-inch circular in a size, US size 7, 4.5 millimeter. I love Chow. They're like my favorite, some of my favorite needles. Okay, so that's what I did. I had leftover yarn because I knit a hat for my husband. It was like a brioche hat out of Dolphins colorway, the NFL team, the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins. It's his football team. So that's why it looks like a Miami, if you're into NFL, Miami Dolphins hats. So anyway, it'll be good. It'll be good for the winter. So that's my other FO, which I completely forgot that I even had, which isn't really technically an FO. I think some stringent FO rules state that it's not because the pom-pom's not attached and the ends aren't woven in. But I'm probably not going to show it again. All right. Just water, ice water. Whips. I have some whips. I have one whip that you've never seen before, 2 whips that you have. I haven't really been knitting a lot. I've been really super busy. Not that I'm justifying it because I don't have to, but I've been really super busy with work, but anyway, so I'll start with the whips you haven't seen, or you have seen before. So the first whip is my Stone Cutter Pullover by Michelle Wong. I'm still working on the back. I haven't made a ton. Well, I mean, I guess depending on how long it's been. I don't even know. Has it been a month since I last podcasted? Forgive me. It's been a month since my last podcast. So I do have a stitch marker that is showing where I left off. I also made a mistake, which I wasn't going to point out to you guys, but you probably already saw it. But anyway, I made a mistake right here on this cable. Instead of going under, I went over. So I have like this purl thing. I actually put this in timeout for a little bit because I couldn't decide whether or not I wanted to tear it back. Some mistakes are just, even though they might be minor, some mistakes are just too egregious where you have to pull it back because you just will always look at it and hate it that it's even there. Other ones might even be like a little more major, but it's not worth ripping it back. So I put it in timeout because I couldn't decide if I want it. I mean, these cables are probably going to be a bear to rip back. And I'm also alternating skeins, which I've never had to do before. So I was nervous about that. And then I was like, let me just put it away. I showed a couple of knitter friends the mistake, and both of them said it's not really that big of a deal. Like they did see it, but the other thing is this is the back. So it's actually going to be like towards the middle of my back. And it's not like I hang out with a ton of like really avid knitters. Most people are honestly just probably going to be impressed with it regardless, and may not even notice. And like I said, if it was on the front, I might tear back, but since it's on the back, usually when people are admiring your knits, they're not really turning you around and looking. They're usually like looking at the front of it. So I left it. I hope I don't regret it, but I don't think that I will. So this has a tubular cast on, which I had never done before, which I really liked learning that new technique. I am knitting this on my interchangeables. So this is Knitter's Pride Melodies of Life interchangeables, my first set of interchangeables, which I enjoy them a lot. I'll get into the cord a little bit in a minute because there is something that does bother me about them, but in a US size 8, 5.0 millimeter. And I'm knitting this for Rhinebeck. This will be my Rhinebeck sweater. And I'm knitting this out of Miss Fab's yarn, which I bought at last Rhinebeck 2018. It's a Yowza. It's a light worsted yarn, 100% superwash merino. And it is in wild, it's wild iris, so it's not a repeatable colorway, and it's best dressed. Okay, so the needles. I really like these needles. I like the point. They're very smooth and the join is smooth. What I don't like about these needles is not every single needle fits on every single cord. So I just recently tried to put the US size 4 on, I can't remember, but I think it would make a 24-inch cable. And it only it only twisted down, screwed down so far, and I literally couldn't screw it down any further. So that is kind of annoying. These needles are like about $100, which is comparable to a lot of other interchangeable needles. I think a little less expensive than some other ones, but that was really annoying to me. So anyway, that's my gripe with the cord, but there you go. What else do I say about this? I think that's it. It is living in my tote bag that I got from my brother-in-law, my sister Amy's husband, who was in the Navy, just recently was away for 6 months. And he went to Edinburgh, so he got me an Edinburgh Castle tote, which I love. So yeah, and it's great for totes are great for big sweater projects. So that's my first whip. Another whip you have seen before is in my Fawn and the Fox project bag. This is actually the mini bag. She sells a small one. I don't really know what her shop is doing right now. I don't think it's super active. She just had a baby. But she sells a small, which is for socks, but it's like a little bit taller, but it's the same width. So I actually got the mini. This is the Field Journal, which just like one of my favorite project bags. But it actually fits my 2 balls wound halfway through, or whatever, wound half, yeah, doesn't matter. Perfectly fine. So I really like this size, the mini, I think, for a sock project. Pause. My dog has to go out. Okay, so these are a pair of socks for my husband, Sean. I am calling these vanilla socks, but they're actually not vanilla. So they actually have a pearl bump. So they're self-striping, and they have a pearl bump where the stripes change. I just started doing this on my own actually, but there is a pattern out there, the London Bee Ridge by Knitting Expat Designs, that does have a pearl bump. I don't think that her sample in her pattern shows self-striping. But yeah, so if you want a pattern for it, pattern is available. And Nina writes really good patterns. They're so easy to understand. I've tested it for her. So yeah. But anyway, so I'm knitting these out of White Birch Fiber Arts in the Express Yourself color. It's an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And I bought this also at Rhinebeck 2018. And these were in 2 matching skeins. So that was really great. I didn't have to like find the thing and then cut it and wind it halfway and all this other shenanigans. It was already skeined up. So that's really good. I am past the heel. I do afterthought heels for my self-striping especially, but I think I do them for all of them. I really like afterthought heel. And the one that I use is the Susan B. Anderson Smooth Operator Socks pattern. She has a really great afterthought heel that I really love. You don't get the holes in the side. It's totally worth the money to buy that pattern. And it was the first ever and only afterthought heel I've ever done, I think. So anyway, so I have this hot pink is where the heel goes. So I'm just going, I might actually get some DPNs. I don't have Carbon's DPNs, but I might do the heel before I finish just to make sure I have enough. I might not, because I really do think I have plenty. So on this sock, I did the pearl ridge on the front, only on the foot. So the back, not obviously, but doesn't have it so that you're not walking on it. And then now that I've started the leg, I am doing the pearl ridge all around the sock. I really like it because it's vanilla, but it's also a little bit interesting. He doesn't have any that are like this color, which is great. And he doesn't have any that are like this design. So that's fun. Yeah, I'm knitting these on my Carbons, US size 1, 2.25 millimeter, 40 inch or 100 centimeter magic loops. So I do all of my socks. Most of my socks I do magic loop 2 at a time. Sometimes I do use DPNs, but I always do my socks 2 at a time. So I do them in tandem because I really don't want to have second sock syndrome, which I've never had, thankfully, because I do them 2 at a time. Is that it? Oh, this is where I was last time I showed them. So I have this little Progress Keeper, a little sheep with gems. I think my sister Amy gave it to me. Yeah. All right, so my next whip that you have not seen before, I was even debating on about showing it on the podcast, but because it is for a special occasion. So it is for a friend. My friend is getting married on June 1st, so she has a beautiful, beautiful dress, and it is strapless. I think it does have a sweetheart neckline. It's so pretty, but anyway, it's strapless, so she wanted something that would cover her shoulders and her arms. She has a beautiful figure, so she doesn't have to do it, but it is a choice of modesty. So I offered to do this shrug, which it's, I don't want to say I'm regretting it, but yeah. Okay, so let me just see if I can figure out. I will link it down below. I am loosely using a pattern. I think it is it Matrimonial Bolero. Actually, I can probably find it pretty quickly here. Matrimonio Bolero. And this is what it looks like. She did not want, Lizzie, come on. She didn't want the actual, the actual patterning in it. I don't know if there's a glare on it. I hope not. Actually, I could probably just try to put a picture in for you. But she didn't want the patterning on it. So I actually just loosely used the schematics as far as increasing for the sleeves. So I did not do just a rectangle and sew the sleeves together. I actually did sleeves increased. And I think it was originally written in I think it's like an Eastern European Ukrainian or some language like that. So then it was translated into English. So it's actually not the most, it's a little bit difficult, and also it's long sleeve, which she wanted short sleeve. So I also then had to figure out the increases and where to cast on. So anyways, I shall show it to you and stop talking. Okay, so it has some waist yarn in it because I did have her try it on. So this is what it looks like. Let me see if I can try to find some shoulder situation. Okay, so here it is. I did the sleeves and I did some lace around the sleeves. This is just, I think, is it fan and feather lace around the bottom of the sleeve. And it fits her beautifully. I should say. So then what happened was, of course, the shrug only comes to like right here. So she did want it to come further forward, and she may tie it with a little lace or not lace, ribbon, or a little brooch or something. But she did want it to come farther forward. So I had to add lace to it. And when I added the lace to it, which was just the same pattern, it made it way, 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 way too tight, like way, way too tight. So now I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think what I'm going to do is I can tear it out, which is not that big of a deal. And possibly instead of picking up in every stitch, somehow pick up 2 in every stitch so that I'm like doubling the stitches around so that it stretches over. If there is another way that you guys can think of in how I can do this without it being so tight, because without the lace on it fit her perfectly. And even though it does only come to like right here, you could pull it, like it needed to have stretch. It had give, you could pull it. So the stitches around are enough. It's just somehow when I pick the lace up, the lace pattern is tightening it up. So I think I might just double the stitches and then go from there. So what I think I told her I would do is I would do that, try to cast on twice as many stitches or pick up twice as many stitches. And then before I get too far, try it on. Not that it's that hard. Honestly, it goes very, very, very quickly. But I don't want to get another 5 inches and then be like, it's too big now, you know? So I think I'm only going to knit a little bit, have her try it on, and then continue on that way. Like I said, if anybody has any other ideas of what I could do. The nice thing is this is applied after the fact. So I picked up, after I bound off, I picked up. So I can just tear this out without it tearing out like the rest of the shrug. The downside is that it's mohair. I'll get to that in a second. I'm sorry, I haven't talked about that yet. But the downside is that it's mohair. So when you are pulling it out, it tends to cling to itself and it will like felt together almost and then create like a big ball. reason why that's not so much a downside is because it is just applied, I can just cut it off. And I do have plenty left where I think that I'll be able to get another collar out of it without worrying about, I could just scrap that without trying to salvage it. I could just scrap it. And I also got it at my local yarn shop, which they have plenty more. And so even if I didn't have enough, it's easy enough to just buy some more. So it's a learning experience for me. I'm not that great at like modifying patterns. I have been knitting for a while, and I have been knitting a variety of garments, but I'm not that advanced in the sense where I can like modify patterns. You know, there are so many people who are like, well, the pattern, I didn't really love the way they did this, so I just did that. Like, I don't really do that. I just knit the pattern the way that it says. I try to get gauge as best I can. Like, I'm not really great at coming up with solutions. So like I said, please let me know if you can think of anything better for me to do. Comment down below. All right, so what I'm knitting this out of, I am knitting this out of Shibui Knits in Silk Cloud. And it is just an ivory. It's 100%, I'm sorry, it's 60% kid mohair, 40% silk in ivory. The upside is she loves it so far. Even though it didn't fit, she really loves it. So that's also good, which I was very nervous about. I knit this on a US side. I knit the body. Oh, maybe I should just do that. That makes sense. Because it was lace, I actually knit on a smaller, I'm so glad I'm talking to you guys. So I knit the lace on a smaller gauge needle. So I knit the body on a US size 6. These are Addies. I think it's on the cord. It's a US size 6 anyway, regardless. But then for the lace, I'm knitting on a US size 4. So why don't I just knit it on a size 6? Duh. Because don't you normally do that? Don't you normally go down a needle size for lace? Maybe not. But that makes so much more sense, dum-dum. I'm going to try that, guys. Good idea. Thanks. Thanks so much for helping me out. So that's that. And this is in a project bag that my sister Sarah made for me. It's a little French seamstress kind of motif, which I love. Wow, guys, I think I found a solution. That makes me kind of happy. All right, so anyways, that's all my whips. Isn't that enough? Hydrate. Okay, so I have purchased some things. I purchased that mohair. I purchased another mohair, which I thought would go with her dress, but it didn't, which is fine. I'll just use it for another project. Maybe I'll go get that. Excuse me. Love you. I'm back. Okay, so I purchased this mohair from a homespun house, which I've never gotten yarn from her before. This is it. It's actually it says kid mohair silk fingering. It's 70%, 30%. But I don't know if it's really fingering. Anyway, this is in the Sand Castles colorway, and when the picture on the website was in actual regular fingering, not mohair, and it actually was ivory with some like pink within it. So my friend's wedding dress is ivory with peach. So on the photo, it looked like perfect. I bought it in kid mohair and the entire thing came out pink, which is fine. So it didn't end up working for what we needed. We ended up going with just the ivory, as you saw, but it's not a complete waste. So what I'm thinking is, actually, I just pulled this out when I pulled it out of the thing, and I might do like a hat held with mohair, and then like look how cute that would be, like with a little white fur pom-pom. I also would like to knit another of Joji Locatelli's Elton cardigan, but I don't know if, I can't remember if one, this is actually, it's 492 yards. So I actually think this is like a full skein instead of like a 50-gram skein or whatever they normally are in. So when I decide to make another one, another Elton, I might use this. There's lots of things I think I could do with mohair. So it's not a complete waste, but anyway, I did buy it, so I thought I'd show it to you. And then my sister's husband, like I said, was gone in the Navy for a while. Well, he was gone solidly for 6 months, but he was gone actually like a month or two and then came back for like 10 days and then left for 6 months. So it's really like 8 months almost that he was gone. But I digress. He just recently came home, I think it was last month, and his boat came into Groton, he was stationed in Groton, Connecticut. And so I went to a yarn shop when we went down there to meet the boat. I went to a yarn shop, Driftwood Yarns in Groton, which is not close to me. It's 30 minutes away, so it's not my local yarn shop, but I really love it there. So I made a stop and I bought some things. So first and foremost, my husband fell in love with the yarn. I'm not going to take it to yarn shops anymore, but I think we just got one skein. This is Cascade Yarns Luminosa, and it is 52% viscose. I don't know where to put this bag. 44% baby alpaca, 4% merino wool. And she had a sample knit in like this coppery color, and it was like a poncho or capelet. It was so pretty. So anyway, they didn't have, I don't remember if they had the copper color. Oh, the copper color was like in a bag set. So I'm like, well, we could just ask to like take it out. It's like, no, I don't want to break it up. So he actually picked this kind of teal color. So I don't know what we're going to make out of it yet. I don't know if he even knows, but I got it. He wanted it. I got it. That's that. Then I got, oh, she also gave me this pattern. And it's a free pattern anyway, but this serpentine ombre cowl. I always love like ombre stuff. It's in black and white, so maybe I will try to find a color picture, but it's a cowl, and I really liked it, so I got that pattern. And then she had a sample knit out, a sample of the, what is it, Scaldicolo Toady by Carla Positano. It's it looks like three color cashmere cowl anyway, but I'll try to put a color picture in here. But I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the color choices too. So I had to get it. So I actually took a picture of it, the sample, because I wanted to make sure that I was putting the colors in the right order. But I got this, it's Cusco Cashmere, luxury Plymouth brand. So it looks like Plymouth yarn. So this is, all the prices are still on it, so I hope nobody is like offended by that. But anyway, 40% super baby alpaca, 40% mulberry silk, and 20% cashmere. It is divine. I got it color 10 natural, color 11 gray, and color 12 blush. Oh my gosh. They are so beautiful together. The downside to this is I think it's going to pill. The upside to this is it is divinely soft. So that's what I'm going to knit out of this. And yeah, on the other downside, it's expensive. That's okay. Treat yourself. Not that I've been buying a lot of stuff. I haven't even been knitting a lot of stuff. I haven't been buying a lot of stuff. I've just been totally absent. But anyway, I think that is it to all of my procurements. I did just put in a little teeny Knit Picks order. No yarn, actually, just like tools, I guess. But they were having a big sale. So hopefully if I podcast again soon enough, I will put those on there. That is it for the knitting content. So if you're here just for knitting, thanks so much for watching. I didn't say, oh my gosh, I'm such a bad podcaster. To returning viewers, welcome back. To new viewers, welcome. I hope you like it. Well, I should have gone at the beginning. But anyway, that's it for the knitting content, I think. So I don't really talk about like what I've been, well, maybe I do talk about what I've been doing. It's been so long, I don't even know what I do. But anyway, there's a couple of different segments. I usually talk about what I watch knitting, what I'm watching non-knitting, what I'm listening to, and what I Googled. So if you're not interested in any of that, then thanks so much for stopping by. And I hope to see you again soon. Okay, what I'm watching knitting, all the usual suspects. I haven't found any real new. I'm sure there are new ones, but I haven't really been watching new ones. I watch Knitting Expat. I watch Stranded podcast. I watch Crafty Toads. I watch Cat Lady. So anyway, I've been watching all the usual. There is no new knitting stuff that I've been watching. If you have a podcast or you know of a really great podcast, please suggest it. I would love to find some new stuff to watch. Okay, what I'm watching non-knitting. These are kind of old things I watched like a while ago, but like I said, it's been 100 years since I've even seen you. So I watched a couple of like rock climbing documentaries. So the first one I watched, which was Free Solo, which is about a guy who attempts to, or successfully, I don't want to give it away, free climbs El Capitan in Yosemite National Park in the United States. So free climbing is when you climb with no gear or no support from any gear. So this guy actually free climbs in the sense where he has no ropes, he has no harness, he has no attachment to the rock, he has nothing. So he's literally just like, if I just got dressed right now and went out and climbed something. It is insanely intense, this documentary. Like my palms were sweating. I was like short of breath watching this guy do this. It's just incredible what people can be capable of. So then all of a sudden I was like, I want to watch every single rock climbing documentary I could find, which I don't think there are that many. So, also Free Solo, I think was nominated for an Academy Award. Did it win Academy Award or was just nominated? I don't know. Excuse me. So good. My biggest gripe about the documentary was his girlfriend. So people who are really super into, like, they're into basically into whatever thing that they're doing. Sometimes they have like these a little off personalities. They don't really have like a ton of friends. They're not like super social. Some of them are, but when you're really committed and really focused and almost like obsessed, as some people might call it, it's not uncommon for people to have never had a girlfriend or not have like a ton of friends. So if this is the case with this person, and he actually did a brain scan during it, which I just forgot until now. They did a brain scan not about his brain. They did a brain scan and it's really interesting what they found about how his brain functions. It's like just crazy. And it's just interesting. I've always kind of been into that. Like, why do people do what they do? Like, why is this guy super into free climbing, which is like the scariest thing I could ever think of, but I'm not? Like, what makes you who you are? So that was a really cool part of the documentary that they did this brain scan. But anyway, he has a girlfriend, and how they met was, this is my gripe about it. How they met was, he was book signing. So I don't know, he wrote a book or was the inspiration for a book or co-wrote a book or whatever about his life. And she was there and gave him her number when she got her book signed by him. They ended up starting a relationship. They're in a long-term relationship. She wasn't like outwardly giving him all kinds of like flack about doing this, but she would say things that would be like, you know, I just don't want you to die, and I really care about you. And during the course of the documentary, 1 or 2 free climbers had died during the course of the filming of the documentary. And I think the community is kind of small, so they obviously knew each other, and it affected him, and he was sad about it or whatever. But the girlfriend was talking about one of these guys' wives, not one of his wives. He had one wife, but the guy's wife. And she was like, oh, like, I feel so bad for her, and that's so sad, which it is for sure. It's very tragic. And I guess he said that the climber that this, I can't even remember his name. It's so bad. The climber that this documentary is about said, well, what did she expect? Well, his girlfriend had a huge problem. What did she expect? That's me. I'm her. Like, I don't expect you to go up there and die and blah, 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 which, okay, I get it. Like, I'm not callous about that. I feel terrible. I'm not callous about it. It's horrible. But when you met him he was a free climber, like when you met him. It's not like you were married and he was never into like these extreme sports. And then all of a sudden he came home one day and said, I want to free climb. And then time goes on and he's like, I'm going to free climb El Cap. And you're like, no, like I didn't get into this relationship like with this free climber. Like now you're totally shocked and you're not expecting him. You knew that he tested the limits. Like you knew that he, what do they call it? Challenged death. Like you knew that he did this. He was already part of this extreme activity when you met him. So now you're going to get into a relationship with him and you're going to make him feel bad for what he does. Like, and he's obviously a better climber when he doesn't have this emotional attachment, because when you have emotional attachments, you second guess things, you make silly mistakes because you're distracted, so on and so forth. So you got into this relationship with him knowing that this is what he loved to do. It was his passion. It was his obsession. And now you're going to make him feel bad. One time she woke up and she was like, I had this dream that you free climbed El Cap and you died. Thanks. Now I'm going to be going up there thinking about this dream that you had that I died. Like, oh my God, it's crazy. But anyway, watch it, even though she's annoying. The second documentary I watched was also about free climbing, and it is called The Dawn Wall. And it is about these two climbers that climb in a team, and they're climbing the Dawn Wall of El Cap, which basically is the side of the rock or mountain that the sun rises on. Now, I wish I had watched it first, because after watching it after free solo, I'm like, they're not free climbing. They have ropes and stuff. They have ropes and stuff, and they're attached to the wall. Now, it's called free climbing in their sense because they're not, when they are climbing a certain section, which they call pitch, the pitch, there's like 15 pitches or whatever. When they're climbing a certain section, they are not supported by the rope. The only support they have is their body. If they fall, which, spoiler alert, they fall several times, the rope where it's attached to last does catch them and they do not fall to their death. Whereas in free solo, he's got nothing. If he falls, he's dead. So, I mean, not that it's not crazy or not that it's not super impressive, because I would not be able to do that. I also am like, is that really free climbing? I don't know. The other thing about this, the Dawn Wall versus free solo, is free solo, he climbs in one shot. In the Dawn Wall, they're literally up on the wall. They have like a base camp and they are like hanging on what's called a portaledge in a tent for like months, literally eating, sleeping, using the bathroom on the side of this mountain, El Cap. So that is wild. It's wild. The other thing is too, that's really crazy, is that they'll climb a pitch, and then when they climb that pitch, they'll go back to base camp. But then I was unclear of how they got back across that pitch to go to the next pitch. I was unclear about that. Do they, what do they call it? Where you like volley across, it's not volley. I don't know. Do they pull themselves across? They have to reclimb it? I wasn't really super clear on that. But it was a very good documentary. That one of the guys had this crazy experience where he was with another group a long time ago in some other country, got kidnapped. It was like crazy. And then something else happened. He had an accident. He lost his pointer finger. He was literally climbing up these mountains with no pointer finger. So it was very, very good. I just wish I had watched it first, because it was slightly less impressive after I had watched free solo, but it shouldn't have been, because it's still super impressive and it's way more than I have ever done and not even close to being able to do. I hate to say like, which I could never do, because I bet you if I really applied myself, I'm sure I could accomplish lots of things, but I'm not even close to doing. Not that I think, whatever, I have high self-esteem. I think I could do whatever I want to. I'm getting crazy now. I better end this soon because it's getting a little bit crazy. All right, that's what I was watching. What I'm listening to, so I actually am not listening to anything right now as far as listening to podcasts or audiobooks, but I did listen to something since the last time I talked, which I think is relevant to what has been going on in the knitting community in the past, months now. And that is a book called Waking Up White by Debby Irving. I listen to my audiobooks on Hoopla, which is a free app that partners with local libraries, local public libraries. So if you have a library card and your library participates with Hoopla, you can download free audiobooks. It's just like checking it out. You get it for like 21 days or whatever it is. So Waking Up White by Debbie Irving. She's a white woman, and she basically talks about how she has tried to become more aware of the racial situations that go on in the United States and, you know, in other communities. There were a couple of things I really enjoyed the book. It was read by the author, which I usually like. But there were a couple of things that I really found interesting. And as a white female, and I live in a very non-diverse area. My friend calls it lily white. I live in a really non-diverse area of Connecticut, and it's also a red area. So, you know, I'm not into politics, but that is just the political climate of where I live. So I just was, a lot of it, I was thinking about like, how does this relate to my life? Like, you know, and I had some aha moments, I guess. And one of them was, she was talking about, this idea of white privilege, which I know that a lot of white people get defensive about. I'm not trying to be controversial in this podcast, but it is relevant. So a lot of white people get defensive about the term white privilege, which I have in the past also been defensive about. So as all this stuff has been going on in the knitting community, I have really been listening and really been thinking about how I need to change what I need to change about my thinking process. Because it's not if I need to change, it's how I need to change and what I can do to change it. So, one person had said, this is not in the book, I'm digressing a teensy bit, but one person had said, which really spoke to me, and I may have said it in the last podcast, I don't know. They said, white privilege is not that you never grew up with struggle, it's that the color of your skin never contributed to your struggle, which was like, wow, okay, that makes sense. I get it. I'm getting it now. Not like I fully understand, I'll never fully understand, but I'm getting it. So in this book, she had taken, was it a racial studies class or something? She had taken a class, and the professor asked how many people think about racism every single day. And they were supposed to raise their hands. And all of the people of color in the class, all of them raised their hands, and like none of the white people raised their hands. And that is also white privilege. The fact that white people don't have to, they just simply do not have to think about racism every single day. People of color think about it every single day because it affects them every single day. And that is the privilege of being white, is that you don't have to. And I thought that was really, really profound. The other thing that she said was, it was someone else who was talking about, I think, George W. Bush. I might be wrong, but I think they were talking about George W. Bush. And they had said about him, which could apply to lots and lots of other people, he was born on third base, but thought he'd hit a triple. And I was like, wow, that makes like total sense. Like, you are born into a certain area of economic or social or whatever it is that you're born into, and yet you think that you worked hard to get there. And you may have worked really hard in your life to get certain places, but also acknowledge the places where it was just handed to you. You didn't have to work hard for it. So that was really profound for me too. He was born on third base, but thought he had hit a triple. So that was really interesting to me too. So I thought that's worth talking about. Waking Up White by Debbie Irving. And that was also recommended by the Fat Squirrel Speaks. So if you watch the Fat Squirrel podcast with Amy Beth, I think she talked about it too in a podcast a long time ago, because like I said, it's been a while. All right. Okay, so then what I've Googled. So sometimes I Google some pretty interesting things. I love Google. I'm an information junkie. I love to learn stuff about stuff. So one interesting thing that I Googled was how lead and supporting actors are determined in the Academy Awards. So this was back when the Academy, oh my God, what was that? January, February? When the Academy Awards were happening. And again, not to be controversial, but I did see The Green Book, which was a movie about a black musician and his white driver. And so Viggo Mortensen plays the driver, and he was nominated for Best Lead Actor, Best Actor in Lead Role. And Mahershala Ali played Dr. Shirley, who was the musician. And he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And so I was curious, the movie is, I guess there could be 2 lead actors in the movie. The movie was equally about both of them. It was equally about both of them. So I Googled it, and on thoughtco.com, I will link it down below. It had very interesting information about how lead actors and supporting actors are nominated. And there's no concrete rule about the amount of time an actor spends on screen when it comes to determining the eligibility for either the lead or supporting actor or actress categories. This was very interesting, usually comes down to what category a studio thinks an actor or actress has the best shot at getting consideration. Let me start that over. Usually it comes down to what category a studio thinks an actor or actress has the best shot at getting, considering the competition. So the studio behind the movie then mounts a for your consideration campaign for that particular actor or actress in either lead or supporting categories. So the Academy doesn't assign restrictions for determining which is which. So basically, the studio says, I'm going to mount this for your consideration for Mahershala Ali for supporting actor, because he has a better shot at winning an Oscar for supporting actor than he does for winning an Oscar for lead actor. So I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if it means anything to anybody else, but that was definitely news to me, because I'm like, why was Viggo considered lead and Mahershala considered supporting? And that's why, because they thought he had a better shot at winning, which neither one of them won either. Did Mahershala win? I'll have to look it up. But anyway, that's that. I thought it was interesting. Well, guys, that concludes this episode of the Reluctant Sisters podcast. And you've probably noticed I don't put episodes because I don't really know what episode it is. I used to podcast with my sister Sarah, and then Amy came, and then I left, and then Amy left, and then Sarah was doing it, and then no one was doing it, and now I'm doing it. So I don't even know what episode this is. I don't even know what episode's going to be next. It doesn't really matter. I had a great time talking to you. I've worked some things out. That's pretty cool. So I hope to see you again soon. Like I said, I got kind of behind with work. I have since caught up. Very excited with that. My secular work, which is non-knitting related. Yeah, I've also been really busy with trying this new fitness thing, man. I need to lose some weight. So I have been working out. I have been eating right. I've been losing some weight. So that's really exciting. So hopefully I'll get to touch base with you guys sooner rather than later. Please subscribe. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please give me a like. That helps get me noticed. Not that I really care, honestly. I mean, there was a time where it's like, I'm gonna have 1 million subscribers, and now I'm like, whatever. I don't even know when I'm gonna podcast next, so why should 1 million subscribers be subscribing to me if I'm so irregular and inconsistent? But whatever, like it if you feel so inclined. Subscribe if you feel so inclined, and please comments and questions down below. I am pretty active on YouTube. I do get alerts on my phone for that. I had a great time. I hope you had a great time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.